Hey everyone, this is Dallas from We Do Stuff. I know it's been a little bit since you've heard from any of us, so I decided every single week, if you don't hear from all of us, you'll hear from me. I'm doing something or another. I don't know exactly what it will be. I've got a lot of different things. Probably going to be a lot of movie reviews because I watch a lot of movies in order to prepare for trivia and just watch a lot of movies in general. There's been a couple movies that I've watched recently that I really liked. And I'll probably share those with you. Also, one of my friends, Anthony, he just wrote a graphic novel called Play It Again. You can find it on Amazon, but I will be reviewing it once I get my copy to me. And of course, whenever I get time to meet up with Joe or Sam, we'll be doing some things. But every single week, I promise you can hear my voice and see my face at least once. I'll also, I don't know if you're interested, but if you pay attention to the visual channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously I've been doing some videos on Murders Only in the Building or Only Murders in the Building. It's a really great show. I've got, I think, 2 more videos about that. And one of them will be dissecting the interrogation scene in the show. If there's any interrogation scenes in movies that you like, I was a human intelligence collector in the Army, and I've done quite a few interrogations. So if you'd like to see how it works and you want me to break it down, mention an interrogation down in the comments from whatever show or movie that you've seen. If I can find it, I'll break it down and let you know what I thought about it, if it was good, realistic, and things like that. It's very, very complicated situation. But what I wanted to talk about today is actually what I've been doing mostly in my spare time, which is writing. I know you've probably heard me talk about me and my friend James. We're writing a screenplay, not a screenplay, it's actually a television series, I should say. And right now it's called The Big Slow. We're on our 3rd version right now. This is the first version. We wrote it. It's really bright, so I know you can't see, but we went through, highlighted a bunch of stuff, and it was rough. And we did a 2nd version. After that, our dear friend Allison agreed to edit it for us. She went through not just for grammatical errors and things like that, but a lot of things in the story itself that was maybe not very good or maybe misinterpreted or not very realistic or not what we were actually going for. So we've been working on the 3rd version of this story, and it's a lot of fun. At the same time, I'm actually writing a story on my own. He's writing a story on his own. I believe it's called Natural Resilience. It's a Native American story, which is pretty cool. I haven't even read it yet. I believe he's about halfway through. Sorry about the sound. There's a school bus going by. But mine is a murder mystery. I wrote about a quarter of it, and I'm going to have to restart because there's a lot of things that I've been missing. So I'm going to be a lot of time going through my thought process on how I'm putting it together and showing you how murder mysteries are put together, actually. You'll see behind me on the wall here, I'm going to have a lot of cards and things like that to try and break it down so I can get my overall story, some basic things on screenwriting, nothing really crazy. So if you're interested, I don't know very much, but I've studied a lot of different things, watched a lot of videos, listened to a lot of podcasts and things like that for quite a bit. So I feel decent that I know the basics of it. And murder mystery is one of my favorite type of subjects. This is actually something that I'm hoping that I can perform in a live setting. That's something that I want to do with actual business that I have an actual murder mystery in a restaurant or something like that. That's what my story is going to be based around. It's called A Dinner to Die For. So you'll get to know some of those characters, and the setting, the premise of the story, some things like that, some of the little tokens and things that I've created for it so far. But right now, I mostly want to talk about James and I's story, The Big Slow. I guess you could say when we were putting it together, the idea is a mix between Atlanta, Two Broke Girls, and Ozark, with a little bit more of a mystery in it also. It's a very interesting story. It's very Florida based. There is even a Florida man in the story. I don't want to give away too much of the story right now. I'll talk about that another time, but mostly about what it took for us to get to the point where we're at in it. It was really, really rough. We literally had two characters, protagonists. It was hard to tell which one was the protagonist. So we literally had to blend them together to make one character, which changed a lot for us. And that was in our first draft. So it made us focus more on the story. And yet we're still trying to hone down on our story. We started writing it about 2 years ago, I believe, maybe a little bit longer. Back then, we didn't know very much, barely knew what the story circle was, which is a very good basis if you want to tell any kind of story. It's kind of like the hero's journey, the basic circle of most stories follow this formula, whether they mean to or not. Any good story that's compelling will follow the story circle. So we use that, lots of different documents. I wish I had read a lot of this stuff earlier, but hey, it's a learning experience. But I'm liking what we have so far. The hardest part for me personally, which has been really hard, is our main protagonist, the main character, is a female named Carol. And I wanted to be sure that within the story that we did not make Carol a caricature, that I am an inherently man, of course. I like to think of myself as a feminist, but I did not want this story to be obvious that it's being told through the male gaze, that we were not putting these ideas and having things happen to her rather her having things happen. I wanted her to be proactive. And that's been a really big struggle. A lot of things, Allison, when she gave us feedback, some things kind of hurt, but at the same time, I don't believe she partially understood where we were coming from, but as reflected, I believe she did, but the way we're going about it may not have been as bad. It may have made even us look like we were misogynistic or something like that, because within the story, she deals a lot about that. She works at a restaurant. It's called the Hen House. The women there call each other hens, and they don't understand how detrimental that can be. And that's just a very small part of it. And in writing that way, in order to break down those barriers later on in the story, it kind of makes it come off as if we might be that way. So we had to do a lot of rewriting and removing characters that were in the pilot in order to make sure we focus on Carol and what her story is. Because at the end of the day, it's all about her and her growth in multiple ways. We didn't make this story up out of the air, even though a lot of it is completely out of there. There's pieces of it from people that I know, be it my sister, my friends, things like that. James, his friends, his wife, the amazing Amanda. It's really hard to ensure we get all of these things together, that it tells a true story. And that's the hardest part for me. All the other things of writing the mystery and the intrigue, sometimes the dialogue can get a little clunky, but you go back to it and reread it and rewrite it to try and make it sound as authentic as possible. And at the end of the day, I know I do not have a female voice and I cannot have one. So it's something that I'm hoping, if this ever gets made, I would want a female director to take the helm, because at the end of the day, as good as I think I can portray what I believe is right, or is something that a woman actually goes through, be it day to day or a large overarching issue in life, any prejudices and things that she may have to deal with. I don't really know. I can learn and hear and take it in, but it's always going to be from my point of view. It's really hard to try and make sure that Carol and the other characters get that authentic voice. And I'm hoping that we do good, and it's something that everyone can enjoy, and something that can feel empowering and great for women. I think it was very important for us that we broke down a lot of the tropes and ideas of what women are. And I felt to an extent that we could do that because we are men and we see certain things. Though sometimes it was a hindrance because we would write things as we see them, which is not very realistic. And I think that it's a very complicated situation, that is not easy, but at the same time, it's a great learning experience in writing, and at the same time, becoming more understandable about women and where they come from and the issues that they deal with from the day to day, which is something important to me. Carol works in a restaurant. I've worked in or with the restaurant industry for a long time. So a lot of some of the things that we wanted to hit on is working in the industry and the ideas of getting out. Is it the right career for you? Something that's very easy to get into if you're in the restaurant industry is being a social alcoholic, or what I like to call a professional drinker. I was one for a really long time. I still enjoy my drinks, but it's really hard to get out of those situations where everyone around you drinks, sometimes excessively, and you want to be a part of all that. So trying to deconstruct that from a realistic standpoint of not that Carol's a person who walks around with a flask in her pocket, but she just socially drinks. And when her friends want to go out, she wants to feel like a part of the team, and great and friends with everyone. So the peer pressure of social drinking is a very good thing when ideally she, like a lot of people, could be doing a lot of better things with their time. But it's not just about that. There are also lots of beats about capitalism, of course, self-discovery, the journey to finding yourself. The capitalism isn't just about like right now, but throughout the years, from the past to present, and how it affects her life, and in return, all of our lives in lots of different ways. There's some things to do with Japanese settlements, and in Florida here where I live, the history with that. And a big part of it has to do with the fact that Florida in itself is a giant melting pot. I myself am born and raised in Florida, but most people are not. So there's lots of things that only a Floridian would know or understand, things that you have to deal with. You probably see jokes about it, especially if you are from Florida, about hurricane parties, which I don't really do anymore. That was something that we would do when we were younger. But the fact that we are very nonchalant about them often, or at least some demographics are, that you don't really pay attention to it unless it's the direct hit. You're really not caring about it. So there's things like that. Of course, there are some relationship things, but it was heavily focused on a relationship between her and another character. But I think we took that out of the pilot because we wanted to put it a little bit more on the back burner. Not on the back burner like it's not going to be there, but not have it so much of a focus as having her story partially dependent on some man. We wanted to be her story. And it's been a journey, but it's been great writing with James about this. I'm going to try and get him to come and talk about it one time. I'm pretty sure he won't mind. If you guys have any questions that you guys would like to know about our story, or the writing process in particular, please let me know. I know this is very short, but next video will probably be a little bit longer on this same subject. Maybe not our story. It'll probably be about the murder mystery that I'm working on. I'll show you some different cards and maybe some screenshots of how I put together the different clues and what it takes in order to create a murder mystery. Things like the person who committed the crime, the red herrings, knowing that there must be a motive, meaning that someone has a reason to do it. It may be false for some people, for, of course, the red herrings, or these motives can change throughout different acts of the story. Aside from motive, they always need the means. That means the physical ability to do it. Like if they were bludgeoned with a sledgehammer, a 98-year-old woman, a 98-year-old frail woman, I should say, would not be able to have the means to pick up the sledgehammer to slam someone's head. So you have to have the physical ability and the actual items in order to do said crime. And after that, the third thing is the opportunity. And that is the most tricky part. In order to make a very good murder mystery, no person other than the guilty party should have all three. And it can appear that someone else can have all three, but at the very end of it, you have to be sure that only the killer has the means, motive, and the opportunity, or else it seems as if there could be multiple killers, and it's not as airtight as it should be. Anyways, that's all for right now. If you guys, hope you guys are interested in hearing about this, because it's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's what I pretty much do in my spare time when I'm not playing Fortnite or something like that, or I'm not watching things or doing things. I've got a video for Only Murders in the Building that will be coming out maybe once before this, and then after this will be the breakdown of the interrogation scene between Charles and Jan. I had it, but I accidentally deleted everything, so I have to finish rewriting that. Got a little bit of time today, so I might be able to finish writing it and then record it in the morning. If not, it should be out within 2 days. But either way, thank you all for listening. I hope you have fun. If you're listening to this on audio, if you don't mind, leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to. If it's on YouTube, give us a like. If you're not already, subscribe. And of course, any questions or comments you have, put them down in the comments. I will be sure to go through all of them and reply, especially if there's any interrogation scenes that you would like to have broken down. That's something I really like. There was one, it was on some show on Disney Plus. It was either Falcon and the Winter Soldier or WandaVision. I can't remember, but I'm going to have to rewatch those in order to figure out what one it was, because I literally can't remember. Got too much going through. So after Only Murders in the Building, I'll break down one of those. But at the same time, every week I'll be talking about screenwriting or giving you a review of one of my favorite movies that I've recently watched. Promising Young Woman. It was a rough one. I was really mad at the ending, but that's most likely what the next movie review is going to be about. I can't help but keep rambling, so I'm going to stop, and maybe I'll stop saying and like so much next time. Either way, thank you all so much for listening, and I hope to see you next time. I did stuff, because there's no we right now.